How's she going, my son, and welcome back to Path of Exile. Last we left off, we were clearing out the ledge, one of my favorite areas in the game because it is a hallway full of monsters. And that's all you gotta worry about. You move forward, kill things, move forward again. It's kind of like a beat-em-up that way. And it also reminds me of the temporary leagues they used to do really early in the game's life cycle, where they did one called the Endless Ledge. You literally just did the ledge over and over again, and you were trying to get as high level as you could without dying, because it was a hardcore league. You were trying to get as high as you could on one character, and all you got to do it, because like you couldn't even go to town. There was no town, and all you got to do it was one chest that started with a bunch of different gems and like super basic equipment for your class. And then you just had to make, like, the best build on the fly to get through the ledge as many times as possible, and then try to get ahead of everybody else, and stay there until they cashed in the results and you got your reward. It was interesting. I didn't get very far, because, I mean, I wasn't super amazing at this game, and I don't think I still am, but, you know, I'm better. We're always getting better. You know, it's very rare that you actively get worse at something. Barring, like, I don't know, physical injury or some shit. Kuduku, the false god. And he is dead. Alright, nailed fist. Not bad. Again, though, I don't have the sockets. Fuck me. I want to use all these cool fucking items I'm finding, but I can't. I can't, because I don't have enough freaking sockets. Believe me, that becomes a very big problem later on. Also, you may have noticed that some of the drops have larger fonts, some of them have little borders on them, some of them have, color coordination. Now, admittedly, some of the color coordination is just the game, you know, the typical dungeon crawler, normal, magic, rare, unique item qualities. But this game has what's called a loot filter. You don't start with it turned on immediately. Die, damn you. Okay. You don't start it with it turned on immediately. But what happens is, when you do turn it on, there's a default one, but you can make custom ones. I just used the default one. What happens is the game will automatically highlight items of importance. Now, early game, it kind of highlights everything because you still don't have a lot of stuff. But later on, you'll notice that a lot of stuff is dropping. Even magic items, usually never rares though. But even magic items drop, and the game's like, nah, you don't need that. Don't worry about that. And you're just like, okay. And whenever something really cool drops, it'll actually make a sound, so you don't miss it. You know, if you've ever played Diablo 2, here's another reference to dungeon crawlers. Anyone remember the sound of either a gem or a ring dropping? You could hear that in a room full of slaughtered demons any day of the week. Even in the... Take it easy now. Shadow's a cocky motherfucker, isn't he? I like it. I usually like the witch because she's like the mistress of sass. And I think that's hilarious. Blood Siphon. So now we get life on kill as well, which is pretty good. And just more life in general and all that good stuff. Skinning knife. That is significantly better than the knife I'm using, which is a piece of glass with tape on it, basically. I'll have to forego the pierce support for now. I can't sit on it forever. Just put it there. Unfortunately, due to the way it's set up, that will not benefit from piercing. But, I mean, I'll still get levels for it, which is relevant. And I'm not fighting so many enemies at this point that I need 1,000,000 points of piercing anyway. It's just nice. And yes, you're seeing bone wheels. They're apparently a thing from Berserk, not necessarily from Dark Souls. but everyone knows them from Dark Souls, because in the first one, they murdered the crap out of you. I mean, everything did in that game, but they were a particular standout case, because if you weren't blocking, you often just got ran over by a bone wheel, which was kind of shitty. But, I mean, what can you do? Like, see, punch through would be good, or punch through, there's my Warframe coming out. Piercing would be good here, because that whole group of dudes, pretty closely packed, and would have given me a lot of value for my mana, basically. Ugh, I'm getting the shit kicked out of me. I can't see anything. There we go. Too much loot on the ground. Oh, hello. That's a divination card. I didn't think they dropped this early. But, I think I'll take an iron ring. I know these are giving me life, but, although, is that actually adding a lot of damage at this point? 34.1. 39. Okay, yeah, that is a decent amount. And you might notice, for example, that item had a border around it with the item filter. This is only a white item, but because it's got those 3 rainbow sockets, selling it gives you a chromatic orb. You know, otherwise, the game just informs you of what's relatively close to valuable to you, and then it just tells all the other stuff to just fuck off and, you know, don't bother you. So it doesn't. Man, right when I say there isn't a lot of enemies in the early game, they pull this shit on me. Oh well. Just means a couple extra stabs. That's all good. Now, you may have noticed the silver coin. I think there was one dropped in the previous episode. Turn this shrine off, I don't like it. The silver coins are part of the prophecy system. This was actually fairly new to me when it first came out. Or when I first started playing again, because it came out in the interim when I hadn't been playing. Prophecies are kind of like randomized mini-quests. Sometimes. Sometimes they're literally just a boon. They're a little hard to describe, but you know what? I'll get one when we get back to town. I'll get one, and you'll see what I mean. It's an interesting system, but long and short, you need the silver coins, because the misses that gives you the prophecy, the missus I hadn't been talking to this whole time, this one here, and her monkey, gives you the prophecies, and she takes payment in silver. And she'll take it right from your inventory here, so I can just put it in storage for now. Animate weapon is interesting. It's a minion, but it's a temporary minion, and it animates, and like the name implies, it animates a weapon, and it gets up and just starts swinging itself. You know, I'll mess around with it a little bit. I'll just to show off. Now, I'm pretty sure it, when you use it, the item is like disintegrated. Okay, I can't use that one yet. So you know, it's not the best thing to use with like your really badass, you know, the Deathmaster plus 10 basically. Whatever that happens to be for your character at the time. Oh, geez, I didn't even talk about that either. I'll get to that. So much stuff happening. But yeah, like, there are builds built around animate weapon, and they're apparently really good. Although, particularly, by default, animate weapon can only animate melee weapons. With, there's a gem, there's a jewel, which are things you put into these empty sockets in your tree, and you can just plug them in and they have different bonuses. There's a unique one of those that lets animate weapon animate ranged weapons. So you can animate a bunch of bows, and they start firing themselves. And, like, you just have, like, a little orbiting death squad of ghost snipers. Which, I mean, sounds kind of awesome, but not something I've messed with.
Is it choice that carries you here, or is it fate? I see a need in you. A need to peer into your future. A need to follow the right path. But your future has already been cast. So open your mind and embrace it. Long ago, my people called me a Hatungo, a wise woman. Now they call me a revenant. But it is not my fate to return to the Mother of Death just yet. For now I stand with one foot in this world, and the other foot in the realm of the dead. I'm an inquirer of the living, and an interpreter of death. I sense you have questions. For a gift of silver, I will answer them. But you seek more than answers. Riches, power.
Kitty.
These I can also provide.
Can you give me a kitty? That'd be cool.
All you have to do is join me. Heed my words, but walk your path. The future is mine to tell, but yours to claim. It is time to fulfill your prophecy.
Okay, so like she said, the prophecies can give you power, it can give you riches, and which in you know game terms is you know loot. So what we get?
Beckoned by the siren song, wrathful gold rises from the ground.
You will encounter and slay golden elementals deep in the cavern of anger. Well, unfortunately, that's further in the game than I am at the moment, so let's grab another one, see if we can get one we can do.
Wreathed in blue sinew, it is protected from the flames, the storms, and the snow alike.
Okay, this is a good one to show off what other things you can do, because this one feels like a miniature quest. It's like, these extra mobs will spawn, kill them, get reward. This one is a modifier when you're crafting. You will use an orb of transmutation on a ring, shield, or amulet, and it will gain resistances. So let's get ourselves. Do I want to get an amulet like that? You know what? Since I said we'll need ring later and we'll need resistances, let's do that. Let's grab that.
Farewell.
Use an orb of transmutation on it.
Wreathed in blue sinew, it is protected from the flames, the storms, and the snow alike.
She predicted it, and when I did it, it happened. And you get modifiers like that. One of the things is the superiority of a weapon, which is what all these resources modify. This is for weapons, this is for armor, this is for potions, this is for gems, and this is for maps. One of the things she can do that's pretty good is make one of these, like a single one of these, make a weapon max out its superiority, regardless of its quality. Because if you're trying to upgrade a rare item, like something like this, if you use one of these on it, it only gives you 1%. So I would need 20 of them. When an item is white, though, it only requires 4 of them, because you get 5% quality. You know, you get 5% quality. With her prophecy, you can take one of these items, use one of them, and get yourself a nice bonus for one item, which is pretty good. Also, I just realized I can use the princess now. It does kind of work. Yeah. Yeah, let's skip that one. Go with the princess. Isn't she a badass looking weapon? Being used by a hobo with a knife. Yeah. Little disoriented. Okay, so that was the prophecy system. It's interesting. I'm trying to get one in particular on my highest level character. Oh, where do I go? Ooh, pardon me. Where do I go? I guess I go this way. I'm trying to get one on my highest level character where I get... You use a jeweler's orb, which affects the number of sockets in an item, and you immediately get 6, or whatever the maximum is for the item sockets, and they're all linked. That's huge, and that's the one I want. Now... Neat. The animate weapons, they just kind of follow around with you. I'm assuming they give them like an invisible NPC model, but then they just make the item show up. So, like, you know, it just looks like they're floating around. Now, I can't animate a goat's horn because that's a wand. I'm trying to see what happens when one of them breaks. Okay, it does consume the weapon when they die. Alright, so... Admittedly, it does mean they get the properties of the weapon, but you really don't want to use something really good for something that only lasts like 40 seconds. Now, there's another spell called Animate Guardian. Animate Guardian makes a permanent minion. I mean, permanent as long as it's alive. Hello. How you doing? Get over here so I can shoot you with my energy ball. There we go. Gotcha. Ooh, that's an upgrade. Hopefully. Well, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be an upgrade. It's more cold resist, too. And it looks way better. Don't need any of the rest of that. Take you, though. Crud, I completely forgot what I was talking about. Mrs. dropped in on us and confused me. This is where you find the prophecy woman for the first time, by the way. But she's automatically unlocked if you... on a new character if you found her before. So you won't ever find her the once. Crud, I'm confused. Okay, well, I know something I had to talk about that picked up a while ago and I didn't get around to it. The divination card. The divination cards are a thing you can't turn in until Act 4, so it's a little confusing to find one this early. But what they are is they're basically a collectathon thing where, for example, with this one, if I find 5 of the Fletcher, which is this card, I get an item called the Drill Neck, which is a unique, but it's also corrupted, so it might have a property on it that isn't expected of what I'm assuming is a quiver. I think Drill Neck is a quiver. It's either a quiver or a bow, either way. But it's one of those two.
The Obelisk prison's a child's playhouse compared to this. They sure don't make them like they used to.
Shadow admiring the architecture. Alright, so we go back to town.
The tale of Brutus was a popular one in the schools of Theophilus, taught in the hopes of deterring students from ambitions not condoned by the Templar. Brutus was Warden of Axiom Prison, and one of the most feared men in the Eternal Empire. But there the histories end, and the myth begins, with Brutus commissioning a witch to transform him in a mad attempt at immortality. A moment of hubris that didn't end well for anyone. If it's true, then Brutus has my pity. Some of us pay too dearly for our mistakes. Yet if you insist on learning from your own mistakes, then please, take one of these. You might need it.
So what you're saying is that it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Ooh, yes. Okay, so these are all support gems, so they don't do anything on their own. This is a flat cold damage increase. It's pretty good. This is a flat lightning increase. Again, pretty good. This affects chaos damage, but it's a multiplier. It also makes you do less elemental damage, though, so I won't be picking that one. This is the one I'm going to be picking. Lesser multiple projectile support. It does less. Your projectiles do less damage initially, but you shoot more of them. Now, normally, since you shoot 1 projectile with most things, you end up shooting 3. However, with Frost Blades, if I can find the gem, wherever the hell I put it, here we go. It already fires 4 projectiles. So, if I'm not mistaken, it ends up shooting like 8. We'll try to see in the footage.
Goodbye.
Okay, so we want to put lesser multi-projectile here. We want to put Frost Blades here. And then I guess we grab ourselves an added lightning damage. Put it there. Some more deeps. What's Unbound Elements? Sport skills have a 25% increased duration of ailments. Sport skills have a 25% increased effect of non-damaging ailments. Okay, no, that doesn't make them happen more often, so I won't bother. And this is also a crit strike chance. You know what? I'm going to try that instead, actually, instead of the lightning damage. So this will be for elemental hit? Yeah. So elemental hit, which gets modified by... let's see. Gets multiplied by increased crits. And it gets modified by... I modify this by increased crits too. And, increased crits, and I guess this gets lightning damage. Fires 7 projectiles. So I guess it splits 1 projectile into 3, and then it fires 4 more? Not sure how the math on that works out, but that's awesome anyway. Something like that. And I'll just get rid of animate weapon. Doesn't really help us. And we are level 10, so we can't upgrade our speed boots just yet, but we'll work on it. Now, you'll see the power of support gems. Once we find us some stuff to kill. Ah. I don't need to do this because I've done it already, and this is one of those things that's only a once-in-account thing you need to do. But I'm going to show you. Because this unlocks the Labyrinth. The Labyrinth is a thing in Act 3, and later Act 7, that gives you access to your Ascendancy classes. And also how you level them up. Like any good Labyrinth, it is full of traps. And it is a very long dungeon crawl where you don't get to teleport back to town. If you do, you forfeit your run and you have to start all over again. Now, you can teleport out, of course, if you're like a hardcore character and you're about to die and you'd rather not. Because, I mean, that... Oh, there's another sapphire ring. You know, because that's the smart thing to do. Oh, I gotta go back the other way now. But yeah, you end up with these non-combat challenges. Oh, shite. Ow. Where stuff like that happens if you fuck up. Yeah, these can be particularly harrowing if your character is based on, like, stealing life from enemies to stay alive. Because there's no enemies here. There's nothing to steal life from. It's just traps. Well, okay, there's some enemies. Right as I say that, I mean, there's some enemies between the traps, but the sections with the traps are still completely enemy-free. So, you know. Ah, fuck. That happens. Okay, stand here. Stand here. Stand here. Yeah, thankfully the enemies take damage from the traps too, so... And out we go. So many shards. Now, as you can see, I've already done all the ones I need to do to unlock the normal level Labyrinth. But, you know, I wanted to show off the trials that you do, just so you can see them. You know, you gotta do 6 trials to unlock the first one. Then you only have to do 3 more to unlock the next one, 3 more to unlock the one after that. And the one I haven't gotten to even on my own time at the highest level is what people call the Uber Labyrinth. It's called the Endless, or the Eternal Labyrinth. And you have to find 6 trials in random maps. So you're not even sure if you can find one in a map when you boot it up. And then you also have to pay an offering to the goddess, which is an item that drops when you complete one of those trials. So not only do you have to do at least 6 of these first, you also have to do one every time you want to do another try, because like you lose a one-man, basically. You lose a guy. So gets a bit harrowing, apparently. You know, I might switch to single weapon and shield. I don't think dual wielding is really helping me at all. Might be better if I just stick with a small light weapon to attack fast. I don't know. This early, you can kind of flip around and change your mind and stuff. It's not that big of a deal. More elemental damage. Tends to avoid elements, increased duration of elements on enemies, increased damage, increased effect of non-damage. Yeah, that's a good note. Lots of numbers. That's how you know it's good. I can keep this up all day, guys. Ah! I really wish you would quit resurrecting all your friends, though. That'd be great. Got their worst. Ooh. Ooh! Every hit is a critical. Suck it! Everyone shatters. Oh, that's awesome. Click, click, click. Click, click, click. Yeah, there's a lot of gems leveling up at the same time. Oh. Jeweler's Orb. That's pretty good. There's a guy down here I want to kill. It's a, unique enemy. Unique enemies usually have decent loot. I mean, again, RNG, though. You can be completely fucked, or you can get rewarded for almost no effort. It's, you know, dice rolls. Oh, that's a Harbinger. Oh, there's the unique guy, too. Cheddars. I'm gonna try to kite him out a little bit so I don't have to actually take damage. There we go. A flask. And the rest of this is garbage. Nice. Now, I gotta admit, I'm making this look easy, but a lot of this is, I mean, I got a unique weapon. And actually, that's one thing I love about Path of Exile is the fact that nothing soul binds. Like, Blizzard, I know you were trying to deal with the problems of Diablo 2 when you were making World of Warcraft, and you didn't want people to, like, basically just daisy-chain their good equipment down along their characters and shit, but you did it in, like, the most ham-fisted way possible. But, again, what do I expect from you? You ham-fist everything. For better or for worse. Whenever you do something right, you do something really right. But when you do something wrong, in my mind, in my opinion, you... oh boy, you fuck up. And that's just all I'll say about that issue. Oh, Sawbones. There we go. He's dead. He's another unique guy. Coral Amulet. Ooh, you got a perfect roll on its inherit multiplier. And it adds damage. Sweet. Fuck this thing. Okay. Ah, no, my inventory's open. It won't automatically go on the stack. Harbor scrap. Huh, I don't think I've ever seen this room before. Amongst the random generation. Ah, I've been bleeding. Yeah, bleeding physical DOT. Physical damage over time. And it gets worse if you're moving. To the tune of like... what is it? It's like 70% of the hit that caused the bleed over X is the normal damage. But it jumps up to 210% of the hit over duration if you're moving, which is kind of gross. Good for if you inflict bleeds, though, particularly at range. Because if you inflict bleeds at range, and you know, you're doing it on a melee enemy, well, they're just going to keep walking and keep attacking until they fall over dead, which is great. I haven't done a bleeding character in this. Maybe I should. let's get this character somewhere decent first. I've been trying really hard to not make a million characters in this. Like, I actually went through, like, a couple days ago and deleted a couple of characters that I was just making, like, for filler? I'm not sure why I made them, truth be told. And I'm actually, like, really sticking with any character I do make. Like, this character is the lowest because I literally just made him before I started recording the session. But, you know, I'm not stopping playing him, until, like, I'm gonna get, like, well, I don't know if I'll be recording more today, and I might play more in my own time anyway, but, like, I won't stop playing him for the recording until, at the very least, he's, like, at the end of Act 2. You know, like, until he's gotten through a good part of the game. So many blades. So many blades. Gotta love a good level up sound. I know I'm taking this, so I'll take that. Yeah, you can't go resurrecting your dudes if they're all glass, or if they're all ice shards in the ground, now can you? Sucker. Ah, I'm bleeding profusely. This early on, it's not as big of a problem from the individual enemies, but you get some pretty nasty bleeds later on, particularly, like I mentioned, from the labyrinth, from the traps. Those do a lot. And it's kind of cruel, because when you're doing the labyrinth, you have to get out of the range of the traps, and if they're bleeding, you're moving, and it gets right messy. Like, on many levels. Hey, Jeweler's Orb. Those are good to get. I wouldn't use them this early if you get them, but, I mean, just good to have them anyway. Oh yeah, I should replace the poison gem on the Orb of Storms with an added cold gem. So I get more freeze and chill procs on people. Because I'm not specking for chaos damage at all in this character, and, you know, the poison there is just not really going to be worth the slot, you know? Because, I mean, as cool as it is to make poisonous lightning, which I think is just physically hilarious, you know, you gotta be efficient with your slots, because you only got so many. You've only got so many. I mean, particularly this early, where you don't even have a lot of them.
It moves like a killer, yet reeks of thaumaturgy. Would that I could observe you more closely, my mysterious shadow.
I think it's the first time I ever actually got this far with a shadow, so I had never heard her say that before. She usually calls me sister because I'm always a witch. And, you know, she's one too. That's Piety, by the way. Main antagonist for a while in the game. She's just kind of doing her own thing, and you're half in the way / half her experiment. It's a little vague, but it gets cleared up a bit as you go. It gets cleared up a bit as you go. Hello, Brutus. How you doing? Ow. Ow. Fucker. Ow. Ah. Yeah, he'll scorpion pull you. But since I was already in melee,
Big just means more places to stick a blade.
you tell him. Regeneration, energy. That's a lot more, but it's not socketed, so fuck it. And, oh man. +1 socketed melee gems. I can use that? That's interesting. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. It's more effort than it's worth to put all the proper links and shit in it. I can take some solace in the fact that it will at least sell well. Talk to Tarkley for your reward.
The Warden's free of his own prison. Well, since you're so bloody determined to cheat the britches off death, you better have one of these, for luck. And when they write the song about you, just be sure to mention that it was Tarkley who taught you everything you know.
You got it. Alright. Okay, we get our first aura option, Clarity. Normally, auras reserve a portion of your mana, but Clarity absorbs a set amount. Reserving mana being your maximum mana is reduced by this much. Most of the auras that give you like a flat damage bonus or resistances and such, they take like they take like a quarter of your mana to up to half of your mana. Before any other numbers modify that. But Clarity takes a flat amount and gives you mana regeneration, but we really don't need it. We've been doing fine with mana. Flame Dash is terrible. I get what they're trying to do with it, where you scoot forward and you leave fire behind you, but it just... Maybe I'm not using it right, but it feels clunky to me. Whirling Blades? No, this one's fun. If you've ever played Street Fighter and know M. Bison, it's pretty much a Psycho Crusher. You just spin forward and damage everything along the line. But the biggest thing about it is that it's a movement skill, and it lets you just get from point A to point B faster, which is great. Smoke Mine, traps, or mines, not really messed with them. Although it sounds like fun. Place a mine that will teleport you to it when detonated. It covers both your escape and arrival with a cloud of smoke that blinds enemies, and gives you a temporary buff to movement speed. So, you know what? I'm going to take it just to try it. I've never even tried those before. I really should. Sell some crap.
Stay sharp out there.
For some, death is welcomed with open arms. Did you end Brutus's suffering out of avarice or mercy?
The first one. Mostly the first one.
The answer to that one.
Well, you do too, because I just told you. But, yeah, the first one. But I will, however, take this Freeze Mine. Blink Arrow. Flicker Strike. Whirling Blades. Lightning Warp. Whirling Blades is the one I want. Boop. But I will, however, try out Smoke Mine. So if I... Okay, I'm just gonna have to try it out, because do I have to use the detonate button, or can I just re-hit the button that drops the landmine in the first place? Or I can hit D! Oh, that's cool! Okay, I might use that. I might use that a bit. Yeah. And then Whirling Blades lets me get around. And lay a landmine. Boop! Oh, that's fun. Not as good as a teleport that lets you go forward, but it's neat to have a little, recall blink. I can see it being useful on some of the bosses later, particularly because, they start getting a little more complicated and start having, don't stand here or you're instantly dead kind of damage abilities. Well, not instantly dead, but, you take a shit ton of damage and you really shouldn't. You really should just be smart and not stand in the fire, as it were. But, sometimes you you know, you don't get out of the fire fast enough. It happens. Oh, hello. You have a fancy aura. And crap for loot. No, they are not, apparently. I mean, at least the Shadow is willing to admit that he is a murderer. I mean, that's what he was exiled for. You know, the Marauder was exiled because there's this whole, like, colonial Europe theme going on, like, on the underbelly of this game, and of course, at that time period, one of the things that happened was the enslavement of the African people. The Kururi are basically the stand-in for these, and you know, the Marauder's crime was, of course, rejecting being a slave. The Templar obviously went against the church. That's the easiest way to be exiled when you're a holy man, is to be unholy, basically. Stop lighting me on fire. That's all crap. What is it? Who's next? The witch, obviously, is a witch. You know, burn her. Although I don't know why they exiled her instead. She does mention at some point that, her sisters were burned on the pyre. I guess maybe her being exiled had something to do with Piety and or Dominus, the guy who did the big exiles in the first place, and is the boss of Act 3. And was the final boss of the game back when it only had 3 acts. Let's see. Then the Duelist. He was killing for blood sport. You know, he was doing illegal lethal duels. That's why they kicked him out. The Ranger was stole game from the nobles. You know, because she's pretty much a druid. The way she lives, you know, even though she's sold as the Ranger, she has like a druid mentality of like nature preservation and surviving naturally and stuff, instead of being more about being like a bounty hunter kind of thing. And then, you know, we're back to the Shadow, who obviously was exiled because, you know, he's a murdering douchebag. Our protagonist, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And yeah, that's the wheel. And the Scion, it's a bit muddy with the Scion, and I like this dagger. And it is better than what I'm using. So, put... I can actually put the orb here. So now the orb has piercing? No, it doesn't work. Oh, Orb of Storms doesn't have... It has chaining. So I could put chaining on it to give it more chains. But I think... And it's not a projectile, so it doesn't inherently get... it can't be affected by piercing. Boo. Oh well. It's one of those weird things that can chain like a... Or, not chain, but it can... yeah, it can chain like a projectile, but it isn't one. So it can't do anything else. Like, it can't pierce, it can't fork, but it can chain. Just because the game dev said so. Son of a bitch. Yeah, she kind of does that. So unfortunately, we can't get to the mainland without taking the long way around through what is the first boss's lair. However, that's enough for me today, so thank you all so much for watching. Twitter, Tumblr, and subscription are in the description as usual. Please engage in all three. When engaging in the subscription, click on the bell, as when you click on the bell, it will give you, it will let YouTube know that, hey, I like this guy's work, let's see what else he's got. And it will also tell you, hey, he's done something new, a lot more frequently. Also, you know, if you liked what you saw, give the like button a nice push. Don't smash it, don't crush it, don't punch it. You know, that other channels make you do that. I want you to respect the like button and respect the like button, and, you know, like you would a piece of technology, because it's what it is. Respect the like button, give it a nice push if you liked what you saw today. Saw/heard/experienced. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and ciao for now. Bad dog. Bad dog. Oh, I might as well spend this point before I go. More damage. That was easy. Ciao for now.